So I will call you back when the judge gets on. Okay. Sorry. Okay.
Mm,
That's probably me.
All right. Judge, it is still not finding the camera.
So, there I am. If we've got Ms. Hall, I don't know that we'll have anyone else coming in. Ms. Patel's gonna come in, okay. But the camera's not doing whatever it's supposed to do,
It was fine, and then all of a sudden it turned off.
okay. There's a happy green bar up. Let's see if the audio is working. Mr. Forte, are you able to hear me?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, well, good morning. Ms. Nelson?
Morning.
Yes,
Can you hear me?
Judge. I
Yes?
can.
Great.
Yes, I can.
Right. So audio, A plus, clear touch. Video, not so much.
Hello.
Are you Ms. Stevens?
Yes, sir.
All right, Ms. Stevens, sit tight. So I think we can get going. The first case is first three cases are Mr. Franklin's, and he's online, and we can see Ms. Hall with the current setup. Now has a courtroom 1D square. I guess it's just not video, but it's on the screen. Okay, so let's get rolling with Ms. Stevens' situation, and then we'll work through the video feed. But this first one, because Ms. Hall is on her own Zoom feed, I think we can get going and you can figure out. with the video.
It's very least on the laptop, so we can have an extra camera, but I might need to ask you guys one.
Okay, great. All right, well, let's get started. We have an inquiry calendar. Our first three positions are Ms. Stevens's 3 family violence battery cases, all involving Mr. Van Green. And let's see, we got everyone. Mr. Franklin, are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, good morning. And we've got Ms. Stevens on the phone, which is great to be able to hear from her. Mr. Franklin, I know we have been working hard to get Ms. Stevens into BHTC. You felt that that was a good solution for her. I know there were some obstacles, maybe initially with kids. There may be a housing issue now. I did get a chance to read an email that you shared from a few days ago, but I'd love to hear more from you and what a plan is going forward, because Ms. Stevens has 3 open cases and we need to do something to either get her help or otherwise resolve these cases.
Yes, sir.
Share the update you've got. We'll hear from Ms. Hall, and then Ms. Stevens may have something that she wants to ask about or share.
Okay. So you basically summarized it pretty well. She was interviewed, accepted. BHTC is ready for her. Her issue has been having a place having people to watch your kids, while she attends the program. So that initially there was some unavailability issues for childcare because we were in the early stages of COVID and not every daycare was open, especially those that she had the resources for. As we've tried to kind of wait that portion of things out, a secondary issue developed that we kind of had to hit stop and reverse on, and that was a housing issue. She had initially, I believe, been staying with her sister. That situation wasn't great. So she was in a state of homelessness. She's had other family members be able to pay for hotels for a week here, a week there, that kind of thing, but no one who will be able to allow her to stay with them on a permanent basis. So we then kind of had to, as opposed to trying to find other resources for childcare, we had to, stabilize the housing situation. In my conversations with my social worker last week, Ms. Nicole Bearden, I believe we solved that. She has a hotel that I know of for the rest of this week, and I believe we have entry into a more permanent shelter for women. Is that correct, Ms. Stevens?
Yes, I have a question. I can't see y'all. Do I just need to talk?
Yeah, I know your voice, and you called me right before court, so I know it's you. So unless the judge has any other issue, I'd ask that be okay that we can't see her or her not seeing us be an issue, Your Honor.
As long as you and Ms. Stevens are okay with audio only, I'm all right with that.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, I spoke to her she called me right before court, and that's her. I know her voice and everything, so it's her.
Okay, so let's think a little bit longer term. So the shelter that Ms. Stevens may be able to go to, will she have her children there or not?
My understanding is yes. Is that correct, Ms. Stevens?
That's what I'm trying to see, yes.
You don't know?
I said, yes, sir, but they want me to take a COVID-19 test. And I don't know when I actually took one at grading, and I never got my results back when I took my COVID-19 test. So I'm still waiting to even get into that program right now.
What's the name of the program?
Sodom and Temper.
How many kids do you have?
One with me, my 3-year-old son, and I have 3, but my other 2 not with me.
Okay, so you have a total of 3 kids, one of whom, your 3-year-old son, is with you at the hotel now?
My 3-year-old son is with me now at this moment.
Okay, and the other 2, are they with friends or family members, or have they been taken from you?
No, my other 2, one on with their father, and then my other one down my sister's house, my 9-year-old. My 7-year-old with his dad.
Is that Mr. Green?
No, Van Green's son is 3.
Okay, so it's a different father for the 7-year-old, and then the 9-year-old is with your sister.
Yeah, I have 3 different, different fathers, children fathers. Yeah.
Got it. And Mr. Green's connection is the 3-year-old.
Yes, sir.
And what's the 3-year-old's name?
Van Horatio Green.
So he's also Van Jr.?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Van Jr. is with you. And do you think when you get into this shelter, you can have all 3 kids or just Van Jr.?
Pretty much I'm probably going to have my 3-year-old with me.
Okay. But you cannot go to the shelter until you get the COVID results?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, Mr. Franklin, what is the longer term plan about getting Ms. Stevens to BHTC or some equivalent that the state's comfortable with as a situation that's addressing whatever is behind not 1 or 2, but 3 family violence battery indictments?
Yes, sir. So I think if we wanted to try to pursue a different option, the state was really understanding of things on this particular set of cases. I wanted for her to really be able to do BHTC because I just felt it was best. So
Good morning, Mom. Good morning. Go in there.
I think we'll have a very solid answer on the housing situation at the end of the week, and then we'll just have to get more involved in terms of myself, my social worker, in contacting the daycare facilities and trying to make those arrangements so that we can, I guess, put our weight behind some stuff to see if it assists her and makes those options open up quicker than they otherwise have been.
Okay. Ms. Stevens, assuming we can make sure that your kids are taken care of, are you prepared to get involved with the accountability court?
Yes. Are you saying to go through the behavior court program?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I can. I was gonna say I was trying to see could I find one that I don't have to pay for, and that'll be a little bit more easier for me.
So the BHTC, that's what we call it for short, although that's not very short. There's a fee involved, but it is a pay as you are able fee. So it's not like you need to pay 20 bucks a week or something like that. Assuming you are able to work, then part of what you earn as you are working would go to cover the fee. So it's not something that's going to set you back significantly, but there is a fee because we think it's important with the accountability court for the client, you'd be the client there, to have a stake in it, that it's not just something that you're getting for free, but you've invested in it. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
When you, have you worked in the last few years? It sounds like you were working before COVID.
No, I never worked.
Okay, well then you probably aren't gonna have to pay a big fee for BHTC. Do you get disability?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Franklin, what's the basis, if you know, for the disability check?
That I'm not entirely positive of.
Okay, well, how do you get disability, Ms. Stevens?
Through Social Security.
Well, I didn't ask that very well.
I've been
Is it based on, pardon me?
I've been getting it since I was like 4 or 5.
Okay,
It's SSI
okay,
disability.
all right, and are you getting it now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and is that not enough to cover housing?
No, it's not at the moment because they say you have to make 3 times more your rent now in Atlanta. And sorry,
Can you say that one more time?
they say I have to make 3 times more of my rent, and I don't make enough to make 3 times or more of my rent. And then I also have an apartment already on my credit from back in 2013, so they're looking at all that.
Okay,
No,
I'm gonna let Mr. Franklin's team work through all that, but it sounds like you have a source of income through the SSDI. I understand that's not lots of money, but it is some money. So I would hope we could find something stable for you soon enough. It also sounds like you've got family around. Your sister helps a little bit.
No, me and my sister's not on good terms at the moment.
But she's got your kid.
She had my 9-year-old, but she don't even talk to me or my 3-year-old. She is a lot behind that. She said that it's a lot going on right now that we can't come down there. We homeless. That's our problem. All type of stuff she's saying.
Okay. And then Mr. Green, Van Senior, I assume you're not supposed to have contact with him as part of your bond in these 3 cases. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So how is it that you would get your 7-year-old back?
That's not his.
Oh, that's right. That's a different dad. I'm sorry, wires crossed. Different dad, and so you're able to interact with him. It's just that Van Senior, I guess, cannot see Van Junior because Van Junior's with you.
Yes, that's his child.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So what's next, Mr. Franklin?
Like I said, we're gonna check and make sure she's in housing, which I hope to have a solid knowledge of by the end of the week, and then us trying to get more hands-on with the childcare situation to ensure that we can go ahead and sign off and begin the offer by BHTC.
Okay. Can you get to Ms. Hall and to Ms. Nelson when you provide this update about housing? And it may be Ms. Bearden who needs to sort it out. I want to better understand where the SSDI money is going. We don't need to sort it out in this public setting, but I didn't understand this apartment and this old apartment and this and that, but Ms.
So when
Stevens.
she was in that regard, so in order to get an apartment, they like an income qualification. So if rent is $500, then you need to have $1,500 worth of income. But because she had an issue with, I guess, getting evicted or not making payment on an apartment back in 2013, it's kind of like a credit report. So it's like I think we've kind of heard it referred to during this era as kind of a blacklist, where if you have a history of not doing well with making rent payments, then other renters will not allow you to become a rentee. And
Okay,
that's by the fact that she also doesn't have the amount of money that they would need to qualify her on an application.
and there's not Section 8 housing that SSDI would be sufficient to cover, or there is, but she's on this list you mentioned, and so she falls to the bottom of the list as not being creditworthy.
That part I'm not 100% on, because for the initial portion of time where she was out, this part of things was not an issue. So this is something that developed over the past week or so, and I was just more focused on finding the new housing more so than figuring out the nature of issues getting housing otherwise. We just wanted to make sure over our head.
All right, Ms. Hall, anything you want to add? You've been very patient with Ms. Stevens and her 3 cases.
No, Your Honor, me and Mr. Franklin have been working hard to try to get the best for the residents.
Excuse me, Ms. Hall, I can't understand you. Could you speak in the microphone?
Can you hear me better?
Get your cup, go sit down.
Can you hear me better, Ms. Franklin?
Is that microphone on?
It is.
Okay.
Okay, we can go with that.
I was just saying, Your Honor, I'm not getting any further, just been honored to say that with Mr. Franklin.
I'm sorry, Ms. Hall. Can you use the microphone on your laptop?
Oh, sure.
Let us down.
Can you hear me
That's a little better, but I think you have echo.
now? I'll turn off this microphone. Now, Ms. Forte?
You still have your echo. Let's go back to what we were doing. Can you take your mask off and speak in the microphone?
Deputy, do you mind going up to the screen and hitting that unmute?
Thank you. All right, I've undone the damage. Actually, deputy undid the damage.
Can you hear me now?
All right, I'm gonna mute you because that creates a bad loop with what's going on. If you don't mind standing by the side of your desk, they may be able to hear you. They're hearing me just because I'm talking towards that big microphone on the top.
Ms. Forte, can you hear me?
That's better. Thank you.
Okay, Your Honor, I have nothing further to add to that case.
Okay. So, Mr. Franklin, we're going to give Ms. Stevens and your team a couple weeks to sort through this, and we're going to put her 3 cases on the next inquiry calendar. I'm going to ask that she dial in again. I need to hear from her directly as to what's going on. And we need to figure out if BHTC is something that can happen or not. And if it's not in the cards because she's not able to arrive at a housing and childcare situation that she's comfortable with, then we need to go with a plan B. If she needs the support that BHTC is meant to provide, she's gone without it for too many months now, and we'll need to find a different way to move her cases forward.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Nelson, since we've got Ms. Stevens on the phone now, do you have a sense of our inquiry calendar that we might have in sort of mid-September?
Okay, hold on just a second. I'll look. How does September 15th? Will that work?
Works for me. Mr. Franklin, that's 15 plus 6, 21 days. Is that giving you and your team enough time to try to iron some of this out?
I mean, I know we'll have some level of progress. I don't want to overstate things and say, yeah, I know we'll have the childcare situation figured out. I feel comfortable knowing we'll have the housing situation figured out by that point in time, and these answers to these other questions that you wanted me to look into.
Okay.
Well, we can go later if you'd like. It's up to you. We can go to.
I don't want to go later. I want to
Okay.
see where we can get with Ms. Stevens and her cases and housing and what's going to happen with the kids, because we do need to make sure we're taking care of what's behind all this. Ms. Stevens, do you have any questions?
No, sir. I was trying to see, you say September 15th?
Yes, ma'am. And did you get something? I don't know how this gets to you. Did you get something in the mail, or did Mr. Franklin let you know you needed to dial in?
I called down to the courthouse a little before, and I asked them that I have a court date, and they told me yes.
Okay.
We'll do it at 2 o'clock, Judge, on the 15th.
Okay. So it's going to be
Texts back and forth pretty frequently, Judge. She's not hard to get in touch with whatsoever.
great. So Ms. Stevens, you may remember, but if you don't remember, Mr. Franklin and his team will be bugging you, reminding you that you're going to need to dial in a few weeks, okay?
Yes, sir. And can I ask you a question?
You may.
And on this pre-trial, I think on this pre-trial thing, is it possible that I can do it over the phone instead of me going in once they start back?
When have you had to go in?
They not letting nobody in the office now because of COVID-19, but I'm just asking when they do start back, can I do just phone report?
Are you doing phone reporting right now?
Yes, I have been talking to them and reporting. I ain't never missed no days when I had to go in there.
Okay. So if Mr. Franklin can get to me a little report from pretrial, if they say everything's been going fine historically and more importantly, recently while you've been calling in, then I'm okay with that. Why is it a problem for you to go in when we get past this COVID thing? Is there something else going on?
No, it's really not a problem, but sometimes it's really not a problem. It's just that sometimes I have to bring my baby out. Some days it be raining, some days it be, hot.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll let Mr. Franklin look into that. And if he gets a report to me from pretrial, we can talk about that. It's not going to change between now and September 15th. They're not going to open it back up. So it'll stay phone reporting for right now.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Hall?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that the victim, Mr. Green, is online with Ms. Rolak if you had any questions for him, but he's been listening. He's been listening this entire time.
Okay. Ms. Rolak, does Mr. Green have anything he wants to add?
No, it's breaking up real bad, but I did hear the part about she's staying in the hotel and her and her sister don't get along. That's true. But
Mr. Forte, you don't need to take down what he says. We'll have Ms. Rolak summarize it. It'll be easier to hear her.
Thank you, Judge.
Hello?
Yes, Ms. Stevens.
Yes, so he said that Mr. Green was on there too?
Yeah, no, you just worry about what we're talking about. You don't have to worry about anything Mr. Green is saying.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard something I didn't have to hear.
No.
Okay. I think
he just said that he was fine with her going forward with going into treatment.
Okay, and she's not bothering him?
They have protective orders against each other.
Okay. Mr. Green's not bothering you, Ms. Stevens?
hello?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, sounds like everyone's staying away from everyone, which is good, except it means poor Van Jr. doesn't get to see his dad. So we'll need to work through that someday. All right, I think
Okay,
that's it.
can I say something, Judge?
No, Sonia, we don't need to talk about that part.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Franklin, you know what you need to do. We'll hear back from everyone in 3 weeks.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Ms. Stevens.
Thank you. I can hang up.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye. All right, our 9:45, which was 10 minutes ago, is Tony Davis. And again, there was a notice question about Mr. Davis. What do you recall about this, Ms. Nelson?
From what I remember, I think that, let's see, let me look at my notes. I think that the address that was submitted previously was not the correct address and a new one was put in. So I think that if he does not show up, I believe that you're going to do a bench warrant.
Okay, and we made that extra effort of, all right, someone says this is the latest address, and are you Tony Davis? Okay, I recognize you. You're not late. We'll get to your case in just a little bit, okay? Odyssey is trying to get started here. So Mr. Davis is not represented by the PD's office. That's part of what's in here. And we've had trouble convincing him to call or come to court or do anything like that.
I think it was mentioned one time we went to one address and then someone said pre-trial, had a different address, was sent to that address. So he's been notified at both address, last known addresses.
Got it. Okay, then we'll do a bench warrant for Tony Davis. And that gets us to position 5, which is not for a couple minutes, but Mr. Franklin, you may have an update. This was another project of yours. Mr. Veal, if I'm remembering the case correctly, had been living with his sister, living somewhere. This is another person who was accepted. Well, maybe he hasn't even had his BHTC interview, but the onus on him to do that. And you were pretty insistent that this guy had kept in good touch, but a phone went dead or something, and you or someone on your team were gonna do a drive-by to see if you could find him.
Correct. So I've attempted to make contact by phone again. Number still isn't working. I did write out to the listed address. What I was able to discover was that the actual address, I think we transposed a number or something to that effect. So the actual address did not exist, but there was an address that was very close to it. I knocked on the door. Nobody was home that day. I reached out. I had gotten early on in the representation. I had spoken to someone other than his sister, a friend. And I reached out to that person, asked had they heard from him. I learned that he had he had told me this before, but I thought it had been dealt with. He had developed a lung infection, and that was problematic. I have a text message where he couldn't talk on a particular day, but he wrote a letter and took a picture and sent it to me. And as best as I can gather, he may no longer be in Georgia.
Okay.
So
not meaning he's left planet Earth, but that he may be getting help for the lung infection outside of Georgia.
Possibly. I'm not sure if his not being in Georgia is necessarily related to the lung infection. I just know those are two separate issues that I was able to identify since the last time that we were in court.
Does he have family outside of Georgia, or he just left?
Yeah, he's originally from Ohio.
Okay. All right.
So he came to Georgia because things weren't going well in Ohio. he wanted to start over, and he had a sister down here, so Atlanta was as good a place as any to try to start over.
And it was the sister's house we released him to, and he was supposed to do BHTC or drug court intake.
BHTC intake. And so if you recall, we tried to get it done while he was in custody, but this is like right when we first had the first judicial order. We waited about a month and a half or so. It didn't get done. So then we released him. And we weren't able to kind of get BHTC available to get to him until later. And once they became available, that's when I was not able to reach Mr. Veal.
Okay.
2 shifts passing in the night. And then
So what we'll do for Mr. Veal, same way we've handled other clients of yours, if for whatever reason he reaches out to you to say, Mr. Franklin, gosh, what's been going on with my case, and you can walk him in, so to speak. It can be a virtual walk-in. We can work through the bench warrant, but I'm going to issue a bench warrant because he sounds like he's beyond your reach right now as well, and may have left the state, which I'm sure was not a condition of his bond. But again, if for some reason he pops up on your radar, you can let Ms. Nelson know, and we can see if there's a way to walk him in short of him going into custody.
Yes, sir.
All right. That should leave then only positions 6 and 7, because position 8 on our calendar today, Ms. Eubanks, that's already been null-prossed and resolved, but it was resolved after this calendar was published. So I think we've got, is it Mazaku or Mazuku? Mazaku and Willibus, but that's not till 10:30. If Mr. Henriksen or Ms. Patel are going to be showing up or dialing in, they're not late yet. So what we'll do is take a time out. I think, Mr. Franklin, you're done with your stuff. You're welcome to stay on. I'm going to just bring some work out here and work till we know that we've got Mr. Mazaku's lawyer, and we know what's going on with Mr. Willibus and Ms. Patel. Okay?
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you all. Ms. Hall. We're supposed to have a suppression. You can stay seated. You're welcome to stay. It's up to you. We were supposed to have a suppression hearing on Thursday. And your 2, I don't know if they're agents or if they're task force officers, so like the APD assigned to DEA or what, doesn't really matter. They now somehow both are not available. And according to what they're telling me, they're not only not available, they're not even in Georgia. They're off somewhere else.
Right, they're in one teaching the class and one's in part of the class. They're special agents, federal agents, and they're assigned to, I believe, 6 different agencies. I talked to them both, and they are available in the future, even next week. They want to be back in town on Sunday, they want to be back in town on Monday. It was just this particular week didn't work because of the thing.
So when did they know they were supposed to be here on Thursday?
So this was the motion that was previously scheduled, they got reset.
Yeah, why didn't it get reset? I know it wasn't you. You've been very clear in your emails. I've never asked for a continuance.
Oh, you're talking about before even you and I, this was reset. So I wasn't a part of this.
This is old.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is when it was set for us for a motion, that was the very first time you and I would have even seen the case on calendar. But then it got reset, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe because you couldn't make that particular court date. So then we rescheduled it for the 27th. Well, with the federal agents, we can't subpoena them. We have to do the TULA or
Yeah. The TUI request.
Yes, and so I gave that task to my investigator for the reset during the time
I
right before
understand.
our vacation. So it was just.
Do you have a way of figuring out when it was supposed to be last on the calendar? I don't know if you, can you look up?
The 4th of August, I believe. I can look at it.
Okay.
Judge, if the motion for suppression for Thursday is off, will anybody be appearing in the courtroom that day?
No, sir.
Okay, so I had spoken with Ms. David, the reporter who will be filling in for me, and she was planning on coming into the courtroom, but it would be okay for her to do everything from over Zoom?
Yeah, I'll let you know today. I'm chatting with Ms. Hall right now. I suspect we will not be going forward on Thursday, and we will not need Ms. David at all. So she should not come in unless she's got another reason to. So let's look at the events.
Okay, that sounds good. I will let her know what was going on. I didn't realize that we were going to have people in the courtroom today, or I would have been down there today too.
I didn't either. We're gonna try to, it's great that some people are here, but we're gonna, going forward, try to have the lawyers let Ms. Nelson know what they're doing with a given calendar. If they're gonna be down here, I know you and I have had our conversation and we'll work through that, but we ought to be able to flag someone's gonna be in court or someone's not gonna be in court.
I appreciate that. I hate putting Ms. Hall to the extra task of having to run around to get by a microphone.
She's being strong about it.
And it's appreciated.
Okay.
April 6th was the first time we was on for our motion.
April 6th. I thought you said it was just a few weeks ago.
Right, well, that was, well,
I think you're right. I think it was just a few weeks ago because I was having to work with the interpreters. They were wanting to know how it was going to work. And then I think I'm the reason it got moved.
It is weird because I don't see it over there. I know a lot of times I don't think I'm tripping, but.
No, I think, Ms. Nelson, are you able to reconstruct for us the hearing for this Thursday, Gonzalez? Wasn't it on a calendar just a couple weeks ago?
It was. Let me look and see, Judge. For some reason, it's kind of like the court sessions. I think once I update them, it's taking them out my system, and I don't understand why it is, but let me see if there's anything else.
It was 11.
The 11th.
I have the calendar. 11 and 9.
Okay. Yeah, I had to not be around that day. So that's why. So they would have been available, your two agents, on the 11th because you've done the 2E letter and lined it up.
So I had my investigator reach out to everyone to subpoena for it. So yes, I was told they were available. She's now on vacation, so I was going to confirm her yesterday if she actually spoke.
She, your investigator?
My investigator.
Okay.
We started a new, we just tried to do our role. So she's been subpoenaing my motions in advance.
Great.
So we don't have that issue.
Well, and usually it's local officers, so it's less complicated. This is complicated more so. So, but your understanding was that had we been able to go forward on the 11th, you would have had your 2 agents.
Yeah.
Got it. And then I pulled the rug out from under you. We picked this date, and because they don't work quite the same way, where you can just call them and say, come on down, they had conflicts.
Right, and ultimately, that's what I had to do, because I gave her this task, the next day would have been while I was on vacation, so I asked her, gave her this task while I was gone. We communicated while I was gone, but not everything got communicated to me, now she's on vacation, so I called her myself, and then that's when I learned that this was told, one agent said during the time I was gone, he wasn't.
Okay.
I just didn't find it out until, yeah.
Okay. All right. So we need a new date. It doesn't have to be next week. It can, but it needs to also work for the defense attorneys. So if you would, have they been responsive to you or?
Because this became a lot yesterday, so I got the supervisor to help. We got them off the phone in case we needed to try to do some type of emergency hearing through video, video.
Yeah.
Or anything. So I told them both that if we got a reset, I would try to do at least 20 days so that they can get updated to.
Okay.
So I don't know, I didn't know if you guys would be amenable to that, but I did tell them.
If the defense attorneys are okay, these guys are both on bond, so my guess is they're fine with it.
Right.
But if the, I know Mr. Aurora has, I think, delegated it to someone. I would think Mr. Harvey has delegated it as well, but I don't know who you.
I've been told he's been actively working.
Okay, great. Someone must have had some money. But if you could confirm that they're okay. Well, here's what all I want to avoid is if you line up with the agents and they say, yes, we can be there on September 19th, but Mr. Harvey's in trial in Texas, then that's another day that doesn't work.
Right.
And so normally it's Ms. Nelson who has to juggle all that, but I'm asking you to figure out, as long as your agents have said, hey, as long as it's 3 weeks out, figure out from Mr. Harvey and whoever it is on Team Aurora handling it, what is the date or what are some dates that work? Get the agents to say those work. You'll need to send a TUI letter, but that's fine. I'm sure they'll say as long as that comes in the mail, we'll be there. Then let Ms. Nelson know and we can lock it in.
Okay.
All right. Great. All right.
Thank you.
No, I had forgotten that I didn't know it was federal agents, so I'm thinking when we had to move it from 2 Tuesdays ago, just your officers can come 2 weeks later, but hopefully you don't have a lot of cases with federal agents.
Yeah, it's like I think honestly with their cases, you don't know that they're involved until you break down the case. So they give them away. So on the face of this case, it looks like it's an APD case.
Right. Was it a traffic stop?
It was a traffic stop and led to a search warrant that led to the fire.
And then someone has stepped on the toes of a federal investigation. It's more complicated. Okay.
I apologize, Your Honor. I didn't.
No.
I'm used to those kids cases.
It is a little different from your average case.
I think the system has changed a little bit, Judge. When I updated my calendar for today, it kept it. But for some reason, a few of my calendars, when I go in and make notes, it took away the history of it. And I did not realize it until I was looking for Ms. Hall's, where we had the motions hearing before. I updated it and then it took the meeting away completely. And it's supposed to say cancel, and then you can go in and look at hearings and see where they're canceled, but it's not there.
Okay, yeah, hopefully there's a way to preserve that, because in this instance, it was helpful to be reminded, well, Judge, we were ready to go 2 weeks ago, but you canceled it. And then I need to say, oh, okay, then let's be a little more flexible then. Ms. Hall, for the 18th time, I'm making this up, is saying I'm not ready. It just, we need to be able to document that sometimes when one side or the other is making a stink.
Right. So what I'll do in the future is I'll make sure that I cancel. I don't think I usually delete a court date, but maybe I could have, but I'll make sure to cancel it because that's how we do keep tracking, but I don't know why.
Right, no, I
it wasn't
agree.
there.
I don't think you normally do delete it because you're very good at being able to say, well, Judge, you usually just send a silent text like, hey, this is the third time this defense attorney has canceled on us. That's how we know to get Mr. Gregory in here to. Yeah, so yeah, we'll just figure that one out.
Okay.
All right, I will be back out here in a few minutes. Ms. Nelson, if everyone suddenly appears, you can shoot a instant message to the system because I'll be at my desk, but I'll probably be back out on the bench in a minute.
Okay, we'll do.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Pardon me? On Zoom.
Oh, okay. Ms. Nelson. Ms. Nelson, you gone?
Sorry. I thought that you could hear me.
No, I think that it is, the system is deleting them, because a case manager, we can't take stuff out, and it's not a case manager either.
Wait, take your mask off. I can't hear you.
Oh, yeah, you can hear me. I said, I think the system is actually deleting them now, because, a case manager, we can't delete stuff off case manager, it's not a case manager either.
Right, and I don't know what's happening to them, so I need to submit a Samanage report just to make sure, because there's no way. I mean, I normally do not delete a hearing, but I mean, I could have, but I usually don't. I usually just move it or something, cancel it is usually what I do, but I will double check to see.
Okay.
All right. I'll send you some dates.
Okay.
All righty. Mm-hmm.
Very wet out there.
Oh, please.
So,
This is, this is the whole. But this interview, these are also interviews. It's all the other people. Okay.
it's her interview. So these are all her interviews?
Well, it's everything case. So,
Okay.
the officer I had, he was the police officer. So, he said that he was
Gotcha.
I didn't go through all of it.
What was in there, yeah.
But I do have to, one thing, that's always in there.
Yeah.
I keep trying to figure out how to do it. Just one.
Wonder if your investigator can take a look at it.
She's not here, she's on vacation with the 27th. I can see it on my phone, I mean.
Well, in the meantime, I can show you, do you have a disk drive in there? No, okay, well, I can play it on here. Actually, what in the world? No, I don't. What's it cost to do with a disk drive? We don't even have investigators right now to drive us to court, so. Is it raining? Oh, yeah, it's raining hard. Yeah, really hard. My whole backpack is wet. Wait, you know, I mean, we have to like end this Zoom thing, I guess, for me to play it on this. Oh, yeah, probably. Maybe not. It's not. Or would they be able to do it? I think that's the thing is I want the live feed. I don't think they'd be able to see anything. I just have to ask the judge to do that the next time. But I brought my laptop, but it doesn't have a disk drive either. Yeah. Basically the same thing. Do you have, yeah, Has your outlook been really, have you been on the outlook today? Been- Were you able to talk to Mummy Jones's sister? Yeah. I know, because I have a missed call from her that I see, and I'm like, okay,
I call her from myself, I call her from my actual child phone, and she'll rock it, but she promised with you.
right, that's true. Okay.
I can see you.
Mr. Forte, are you ready? Didn't mean to get you mid-drink there.
These are status hearings or this continuation of inquiry?
Well, we're mixing and matching today. The calendar, I think, said inquiry on it, but I don't know that there's a big difference between inquiry and status hearing. But let's call it a status hearing because that's what the calendar entry says.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, so this is positions 6 and 7, 20 SC 174728. We have in court Mr. Mazaku. He's been here for a while. His lawyer sent a conflict notice indicating that he had to be in Paulding Superior Court at 8 this morning to take guilty pleas, and then he was, I don't know how he was planning on connecting. I'll ask Ms. Nelson in a minute. The other defendant, Mr. Willis, I don't see him, but his lawyer is here, Ms. Patel, with all sorts of paperwork.
My file got very wet.
Okay, so we have half of each of the two defense teams. And if I'm remembering correctly, this is a case where the alleged victim has herself been indicted. And it's a case that I think I've been told several times ought to work out, will work out. And here we are again to talk about what's going on with the case. Let me start by asking Ms. Patel what she thinks the status of her client, Mr. Willis, is.
I did speak to my client last week, so I expect him to be here. And so I will just follow up with him when I have a moment to see where he is.
He's been here all the other times.
So he, our last court date, he came to the courthouse late and then left Ms. Nelson about 10 voicemail messages and made communication with Ms. Nelson and myself about the fact that, you know, he had just missed the window of time that we were here.
Okay. Hopefully he doesn't miss again today.
Right. I will also see if he can maybe zoom in if he is running late, but.
Okay. All right. Ms. Nelson, do you have any update from Mr. Henriksen? Ms. Nelson, are you there?
I'm sorry, I was talking to you and looking at the same time. No, I don't have an updated report on him.
Okay, if you wouldn't mind reaching out. I have his phone number, his office phone number right here, if that helps.
Okay, if you can give that to me, thank you.
Yeah, it's 770-505-4405. And he did send us a conflict letter late, it looks like on Friday, and supposedly was going to be in Paulding Superior Court at 8 this morning. So if you could dial in, that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Mazaku, when did you last speak to your lawyer?
Last week.
Okay. Did he say anything about not being here or?
He was gonna see a judge and calling that he'd be late.
Okay.
And I spoke with him yesterday. His intention is to come into court.
Okay. Can you?
Ms. Hall, for some reason, I'm not able to understand you.
Okay. Her mask probably keeps out COVID-20 and 21 as well. It's like a very serious mask. What she said was that she too had spoken with Mr. Henriksen, Mr. Mazaku's lawyer, and that he did intend to be here, but that he was coming from Paulding County. We're not gonna be able to stay late for him or for Mr. Willibus if we don't get a update in short order from either of them. But it would help me, Ms. Hall, if you could give an unofficial update of where things are from the state side. And that way we'll know, is it what we're gonna do next?
Yes, sir. Where we are in this case, last time we were in court, we had a discussion about evidence and defense counsels were still waiting for me to produce evidence. Since then, I spoke with the lead investigator on this case. He had everything for their two jurisdictions, APD and Georgia State. He had everything being the lead investigator, but since that conversation, he went out on FMLA. I don't know for what reasons, but I was told, as far as what they would give me, is that he'll be out for a while. As in, the agency sergeants and other officers that were involved tried to come together and gather everything they could because they didn't have his personal file in this case.
Yeah.
Can't contact him to get anything additional, so they just got what they could. So honestly, I don't know if I even have everything. I do believe I have a substantial enough, a good amount of evidence to where defense counsels can make the decision on this case as far as what the state has negotiated or offered, and what I'm providing. There is one more interview that one of the officers gave me on yesterday. It was too large for him to put on a USB or any of that. I put it onto my desktop yesterday, but then I can't get it off because it's too large. I tried everything up to 32 gigs, it's only 8 gigs, but it won't fit. So me and Ms. Patel, that's her client and his interview. So we have been talking to try to figure out how she can view it. It's 3.5 hours, so I'm gonna try to figure that out on my side, but get that to her in the next day or two, because the goal here is that they are able to look at this evidence this week, maybe this weekend. I'm telling you, work this weekend, but I talked to both counsels of them reviewing the evidence, talking to their clients, and maybe setting up a plea maybe next week or the week after. But as far as the state, we still need to provide this evidence to Mr. Henderson. That's why he's coming in. He preferred to receive it from me than to wait for it in the mail so that he can look at it.
Okay, and what you pointed to a thumb drive, what's on there?
It's two actually, so they just had a hard time trying to get everything onto one situation. We received 2 pieces of evidence yesterday, one of them was completely blank. So then I had to have them come meet me yesterday, and I put additional interviews onto a thumb drive. So I have body cam, 911 interviews on what was actually filed. And then what we need to go back and file is about 7 interviews between all parties, the victim in this particular case and the co-defendants of this case, minus the interview of Mr. Willibus, which is still on my.
That's the giant one that's on your
Yes.
desktop?
Yes.
Okay. So Mr. Henriksen would not have had a chance to review any of this. He's gonna get it from
That is
you
correct.
today.
Right.
He may not get the interview of Ms. Patel's client. He's entitled to it, but it's stuck on your laptop.
Right.
Does Ms. Patel have all these other things?
Yes, she got them a few minutes ago when she came into court.
Okay.
Other than the Willibus interview, that is what's most important for her. Because
Sure.
that's where he talks and, that's what she needs to see. So I'm working on that. As soon as we have a court, I'm gonna work on trying to figure out how to get that off. I was able to put it on into just one special place on my computer, so hopefully that can help me get it off and get it submitted.
Okay. Any particular reason why everything arrived yesterday? This was on a calendar a while ago, 7/13. And it's good that the information is now available to the other side. It's better if they get it a week before court, so that when they come in, they can say, well, we've seen the interviews, the state needs to dismiss, or we'll take that probationary offer.
Right, which is usually how I operate on my cases, but in this particular case, I spoke to the lead investigator, Mr. Sumney, on the 15th of July, we had court, I think it, well, or something like that. I talked to him 2 days later. He told me we have everything ready, but I didn't hear from him.
This is the gentleman who went on FML?
Yes.
Okay, that's,
We-
you've explained it. So the plan was, following our session on the 13th of July, was to, you were on it, you were gonna get it, and you were told you would get it, and then this, hopefully he's gonna be okay, but this
Then I talked
mystery.
to him again, and he confirmed that he'd get it to me, and then I found out while I was on vacation, he went on FMLA.
Okay,
So that's when my investigator tried to get GSU together or whatever they could find, because, you know, I started talking about suppressions and stuff, because we didn't have anything
Right.
other than what we had provided. So that's where we are now. I apologize, I don't know the circumstances of him leaving, and
no, that's his personal situation. Do you have a sense that what GSU police was able to get is 80% of what this guy would have put together, 90%, 10%?
I feel like honestly, I feel like it's probably between 80 and 90. I feel like if there's anything, there may be one thing that he had in his personal file that he didn't give to his open records department. For instance, I reached out to APD myself to see if there was anything additional that I wasn't provided that they may have. So I'll look and see if they provided that since that email went out. But I'm thinking, after looking through what I received yesterday, I feel like I would have one.
Okay, and importantly, what you do have, and you have provided, is Mr. Mazaku's interview, Mr. Willibus's interview, and Ms. Wen's interview.
Well, except for Mr. Wood.
Well, but you have it and you will get it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, all three, yeah.
all right. Ms. Patel, any update on Mr. Willibus?
I just need to step out to call him.
Okay,
But I talked to him about the state's offer, which I think is fair. I just need to do my due diligence to do the discovery before we set this up for a plea.
Okay.
And so the goal was to see if we could do this next week. Now I'm not so sure that that will happen, just based on when they're able to copy that large interview.
sure, and then you need to find bits and pieces of 3.5 hours to get through it all. Why don't you take a break and see what Mr. Willibus's situation is? Please. Mr. Mascu, your lawyer is en route. He is on I-20 right now, and will be here in a little bit. You're going to want to wait until he gets here. I don't know that I'll be here for it, but he's going to want to say hey to you, and he's going to want to get that discovery, those thumb drives from Ms. Hall. Ms. Crawford, we won't be taking any pleas today, so if you want to sign off, you should feel free to do that. We're almost done. We may hear that there'll be a plea soon, but it won't be today.
Okay, thank you, Judge. I'll see you on tomorrow.
All right, take care.
Talking about the Ravens burrito like you had last night.
Hey, Ms. Snyder.
Hey, Judge.
How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
Okay, Ms. Eubanks' case is closed. She did what she needed to do. You did what you needed to do, and it's been no pros. So if that's why you were dialing in, we're all set.
Okay, it is. I just wanted to make sure.
I appreciate that. Thank you for dialing in.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Ms. Patel.
Your Honor, I spoke to my client. He said that when he reported to pretrial services on Thursday, they said that his court date was moved to October, which I believe is the motion state in the system. So I'm going to send him the Zoom link right now. And he's
Okay.
going to Zoom
It's not helpful, pretrial.
in. That's right.
Did you encourage him to contact you if he ever has questions about that kind of stuff?
That's what I said. I said that he shouldn't trust pretrial services with his case advice.
They're not his lawyer.
Exactly.
So it's on for a final plea, this case is, for September 11th. It sounds like worst case scenario, we would be able to take the plea then. We might be able to do it before then if the stars align and whatnot, but that's a fair read of the case, that unless something shocking arises from people's review of discovery, that worst case scenario on that calendar, we can have Mr. Willibus here, Mr. Masco is always here, and we would take the pleas on the 11th. I've asked this 100 times. Ms. Nguyen's case is not with us. It was randomly assigned to a different judge, or we've got it as well?
No, we have it.
Okay, and what's happening with her case?
We can't remember the last time we had a calendar, something was going on with the attorney.
Let me look it
So
up.
we got the attorney did a waiver of appearance, and that was that, and it hasn't been scheduled since. However, before we took the plea with the co-defendant, I was gonna reach out to that attorney to see if we could do.
I've never heard of this attorney, Michael Bixon, B-I-X-O-N.
I've seen him in non-complex a few times back in the day.
Okay. In July, you filed a demand for discovery, Ms. Hall. That's the last activity in the case. Oh, because the plea and arraignment wasn't until, plea and arraignment was a month and a half ago. So it's still operating under the scheduling order. I trust Ms. Nguyen is out on bond.
She is, and,
Okay.
I'm gonna reach out to the attorney, so we'll probably reach out to Ms. Nelson to try to get all three of them together again.
So I'm all right with that. What I'm not, she has a final plea date of October 16th. We're not going to move these two cases to October 16th. It would be moving Ms. Nguyen up to 9/11. If you think it's wise to have everyone in the same room, and it may be that Ms. Nguyen needs to say something on the record to set things straight. Who knows? But you and Mr. Bixon can sort that out. I'm happy to see it's moving along. I'm sure you've provided all the discovery you've got. That wasn't a real confident looking.
Well, you just got it.
Sure, it's on its way to him.
Yeah.
All right, why don't we do this then? I trust Mr. Henriksen will be here soon, and you can stay warm and dry in this courtroom. I'm waiting for him. I don't know that I need to stick around for that. Ms. Patel, you have received everything except your client's interview. Oh, we're gonna get him, is he dialing in? That's what we need to do.
Right, I'm just trying to find the email, because Outlook is,
Do you want me to forward you the information?
if you could, Your Honor, that would be great.
Sure. All right, let's wait.
Just email me that it has downloaded that. Oh, there he is. I didn't have it up on my laptop. Yeah, you did too.
All right. Mr. Willibus, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can. Are you able to hear me?
I can hear you. Are you a passenger in a car, or where are you?
Oh, so I'm currently at work. I work for two men in the truck, and right now we're in the middle of a move, and I had to come sit in the truck so I can to make this call.
Got it. Well, we'll be quick so you can get back to work. I don't want you to get sideways with your boss.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that.
So
Go ahead. I apologize.
you had court today.
Yes, sir. I was just about to say, I talked to my my pre-trial officer on Thursday, and he had told me that we were rescheduled for October. And I work every day, so it had slipped my mind to call Ms. Patel to check in with her and make sure that I was the right information. That's my fault for not doing that. But when he had told me that, he usually does tell me whenever we have rescheduled any type of court or anything like that. So I wasn't thinking that it was wrong information. But I definitely apologize for that. I definitely thought we were rescheduled for he told me sometime in August, not August, October. Excuse me.
What's the name of the pretrial officer you talked to?
Mr. Alvin Brown.
Alvin Brown?
Yes, sir. I believe his first name. I'm about 90% sure.
Okay. Well, we'll check on that because that was not good info. And it's okay. You are where you are today. Next time you come to court, next time you have a court date, it's going to be a pretty important court date. You're not going to want to miss it. And the weird thing about October is that that's not even a court date for you. Your next court date may be sooner than this, but the one that's definitely in the system is for September 11th. There's nothing in the system for October, but neither here nor there. We need to work through it. You're on the phone now. Zoom is okay, and Ms. Patel has been keeping us posted. The prosecutor has provided additional discovery to your lawyer and to Mr. Mazaku's lawyer. They both need to look at it, and then they need to talk to you, and they need to talk to Mr. Mazaku. It sounds like this is a case that's going to work out, and we're just trying to figure out what date can we get everyone in here to work it out. But Ms. Patel needs a chance to review everything she was given. Lots of interviews, including one you gave, and apparently you talked a lot because it was a 3-hour interview. So she's gonna look over that. She's gonna want to talk to you, and then you and Ms. Patel need to decide what you're gonna do with the case, because next time we're together, we're either working it out or you're telling me I'm going to trial. And then we'll do what we need to do.
Gotcha.
But make sure you stay in touch with Ms. Patel. We're gonna have words with pretrial about not offering advice about when your court dates are. They do lots of good and important stuff at pretrial, but Ms. Patel is the one who will be confirming when you need to be in court and when you don't.
Sounds
All right.
great. Yes, sir.
Anything else from Mr. Willibus?
No, Your Honor. Mr. Willibus, I'm gonna email you shortly after this, okay?
Okay, that sounds great. I will be off in probably about 3-4 hours. So if you want to give me a ring on my cell, you can also do that.
Okay, will do.
All right.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Get back to moving. Mr. Mascu, same situation. Your lawyer is going to be getting the discovery. He needs to look at it. He's going to want to talk to you about it. And then you'll get, did you get something in the mail telling you to be here?
Yeah, I got a notice.
Good. And you're still at that address?
Yes.
Good. You'll get another notice. You probably get a phone call from your lawyer as well to come on down and see if you all are working the case out. Okay. Ms. Hall, anything you want to add in connection with this? Okay. Do you mind waiting here for Mr. Henriksen? He's
I told him I would wait for him.
great, because Ms. Nelson has confirmed that he is doing his best to get here from Paulding.
Yeah.
So if you and Mr. Mascu both wait, that'll be great. And then you'll work with IT to figure out how to get the giant file to the two lawyers.
When I leave, I'm gonna try to do that. And get that.
There he is. Fresh from Paulding County.
My apologies, Your Honor.
No, you sent a conflict letter. I hope you drove the legal rate of speed the entire way from Paulding County to Fulton.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Let me get you up to speed. Ms. Hall has a whole bunch of discovery for you, interviews from almost everyone. Co-defendant's interview was so big, it's stuck on her computer. She's gonna figure out how to get it digitally to you. Today is not the day we're gonna resolve things. The final plea date for the case is 9/11. If before then you and Mr. Mascu have come to an understanding of how you want to resolve it, then we may get you in here sooner. But the latest we do that would be September 11th, which isn't all that far away. You'll need a chance to get through all the discovery. Just because it's interviews, it's not a quick read, but you're listening, and at least one of the interviews is apparently 3 hours long. But it doesn't sound like it changes the way we have been understanding the case, which is that the alleged victim is the defendant in a false statements case. It may be we try to resolve all three situations at once. They are factually interconnected. They're not legally connected. Ms. Wen has her own case and her own lawyer. But I just ask you to take the time to go through the discovery and have the conversations you need to have with Mr. Mascu. And then at the latest on 9/11, we'll see if everyone's worked it out. Because after that, there's not a right to withdraw a plea if you're unhappy with the sentence. It sounds like this is going to be negotiated anyway from what I've been hearing about the case, but I don't get involved formally until we're actually on the record taking the plea.
And I did have some brief conversation with the client. I had a brief conversation with my co-defendant's counsel as well as the prosecutor. I feel like as soon as I get this discovery, I think we can definitely get something done. Absolutely no later than the 11th, but maybe even sooner.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Ms. Hall, anything else?
Nothing else to me, Your Honor.
All right, I think we're done. Let's see. That's it. Mr. Franklin, you reappeared.
Yes, Judge, I had got some answers to some of your earlier inquiries, and I figured as opposed to waiting to put it in the email that I would try to catch you before court ended and clarify some things.
Okay.
So as it pertains to Ms. Sonia Stevens, so she is in a stabler situation. We have a person who assists us with housing here at the Public Defender's Office. His name is Original Michaels. You may have some familiarity with him. He's been involved with stuff with the court system for a while here in Fulton. She has at least 30 days in some housing provided to him. And we also have a longer term program, Solomon's Temple. I think that's what she mentioned to you earlier. And the details that I was able to get from my social worker about that program is that it's up to 6 months. And that they have a case manager, they provide childcare, which is huge. And they work with community friendship, so they also have a mental health component as well. We are still preferring to go through BHTC just for its structure and such, but the housing situation looks to have an answer for at least the next 7 months, definitely for the next 30 days. But the COVID test is what we're waiting on to get into Solomon's Temple. And I instructed my social worker to see if she could inquire about the possibility of Ms. Stevens having a longer term than the 6 months, because they do provide childcare. Additionally, her SSI, she receives it for her mental health, depression and bipolar. And she had a diagnosis for schizophrenia as a child, but I'm not sure that's a part of her diagnosis any longer.
So the SSDI will help cover whatever expenses there might be at Solomon's Temple. And she could get there sooner than 30 days if we get the COVID results.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Michaels is willing to provide short-term housing for her while to bridge the gap while she tries to get the COVID results.
Correct.
Is your team able to help Ms. Stevens navigate the healthcare piece? It may be that the results are sitting out there on the web somewhere.
So she's been given the information already. We'll probably just check in with her a couple times a week. I know she talks to my social worker at least once a week. I probably talk to Ms. Stevens once every other week, if not a little bit more frequently.
Okay.
And even when she's had situations where like her phone is going out or something, she's been really good at getting into contact with myself or my social worker. Better than most. She's really good at always trying to reach out or let us know what's going on with her.
Okay.
But that's the, I guess the answer to the initial inquiries that you had regarding the nature of her SSI, what the exact housing situation is. I'll work on the stuff with the pretrial officer regarding how she's been reporting, but I think it's probably more important for us to figure out how to get to BHTC so that we can begin stuff.
I agree. I've never heard of Solomon's Temple, the housing program. Have you ever had a client stay there before? Is this new?
I don't recall hearing about it before. Ms. Bearden, my social worker, stated that she did a site visit before, and that she's pretty familiar with them. I worked with Ms. Bearden for some time. She was my social worker a while ago. We switched up, and then we got her back, thankfully. And I trust her judgment on a lot of things. So I'm not familiar with them myself, but she knows my preference for, I'm gonna just say, the credibility of a program.
Right.
I'd rather not just get a program and try to resolve anything. And if she put my client into connection with these professionals, then I trust that it's a stable environment that seems to have a lot of things that really would help Ms. Stevens at this point in time.
Okay. It's got a present. I'm looking into it now. Okay, that's great. I'm glad she found it. It had a different name and was run by the county for a while, and that may be why it's sounding newer. But all right, okay. So we will keep Ms. Stevens on the inquiry calendar about 3 weeks out, the middle of 9/15, whatever date Ms. Nelson mentioned. But you've checked all the boxes now. We just need to see if we can get those COVID results, which, if negative, would get her into Solomon's Temple, which then might create the stability needed for her to get into BHTC.
Right. Yeah. Right. So it appears we can get the COVID stuff done by the end of the week. then maybe we may actually be able to have her in BHTC by the time we have that September 15th court date.
Yep.
We would have had a couple to kind of situate herself. So there's a shot.
All right, well, one step at a time. I appreciate that immediate response.
Yes, sir.
All right, I think that's it. Ms. Patel, anything else?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Hall, anything else?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
The calendar shouldn't have changed a whole lot from yesterday. Drug court tomorrow and some status conference at 2:30, but with no defendants. So hopefully you all will be, if you're on that, will be available. We're not having a suppression hearing on Thursday. And then Friday, Mr. Franklin, you've got a couple of WebEx, please. Briggs and Lowe, I guess, are both in state custody. You're on mute.
Yes, sir. They're both in state custody, and I've spoken to them both. I'm going to speak with Ms. Hall soon as she gets out of court and see if we can work out a negotiated agreement. But if not, given the nature of the charge and the fact that he's been in prison for some time, I'm still confident we'll be able to get a resolution non-negotiated on Alton Griggs. And Jaleesa Lowe, we are just going to put up non-negotiated. Similar circumstances. She's been in custody a little over a year, I believe. And it's a financial case. So
why does Mr. Pinion have the case?
So there's a co-defendant, and I'll speak as generally about this as possible. The co-defendant, the victim in the case was the victim of a home invasion. The co-defendant is alleged to have been the sole perpetrator of the home invasion. One of the things taken at that point in time was a credit card or debit card.
Okay.
The co-defendant owed Ms. Lowe some money, and as opposed to paying with regular money, she instead just kind of paid the bill, allowed my client to pay a bill with the cards that were stolen.
Okay.
So that's the nature of it.
Okay. Well, Mr. Pinion will be on for that. All right, good. I don't know if you've done WebEx before, but there is a way, it's not a breakout room, but you will be able, if you need to speak privately with your client during it, you can. They have what sort of looks like the bat phone next to the defendant. And then you just step away and you get to call. It's a dedicated line and it goes straight there. So you and Briggs, you and Lowe will be able to speak if there is an issue that arises during the police.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.